Good morning, dear students. After learning about yeast now let us move on to the other type of microorganisms which are mostly used in the field of medicines. Okay, so they are called as antibiotics. So you might have heard about antibiotics, right? So many bacteria and fungi are used to produce such antibiotics like okay, so let us learn about these antibiotics. So whenever you fall ill, the doctors prescribe some medicines, and some of the medicines among them are nothing but the antibiotics. Now what are these antibiotics? Let us try to learn. Antibiotics are carbon compounds obtained from some bacteria and fungi and used for destroying or preventing the growth of harmful microorganisms. So these antibiotics are prepared from either bacteria or fungi, and they are used for destroying or preventing the growth of some of the harmful microorganisms. Those harmful microorganisms can be other bacteria or maybe some of the protozoans. Fine. So this is the definition of antibiotics. So antibiotics, a discovery of 20th century, have brought about a revolution in the field of medicine. Okay, so even a disease like tuberculosis have been almost completely eradicated from some of the countries. Okay, so tuberculosis is also called as TB. Now, these antibiotics mainly act against some bacteria, some others can destroy some protozoans, and some antibiotics are useful against a wide variety of bacteria. So they are called as broad spectrum antibiotics. Now what does this mean, that they can destroy, used against a wide variety of bacteria? That means these antibiotics have the power to kill so many different types of bacteria. Fine, and therefore they are called as broad spectrum. Fine, is that clear about broad spectrum? Examples of these broad spectrum antibiotics are, you might have heard about ampicillin, amoxicillin or tetracycline, etc. So these are some of the broad spectrum antibiotics. So whenever you get certain medicines and all, you always check these names. There will be these names like ampicillin or amoxicillin or tetracycline. Okay, so these are broad spectrum antibiotics. So when the pathogen cannot be identified even though the symptoms of a disease are visible, broad spectrum antibiotics are used. Now what does this mean? This means that suppose that pathogen which is infecting any person or any human being cannot be known. So that means the doctors are not sure of the pathogen or are not sure of the disease causing microorganism, then they use this broad spectrum antibiotics. So and whenever pathogenic microorganism is definitely known, that means the doctors are very sure that this is the disease which is caused by so and so microorganism, then narrow spectrum antibiotics are used. Now narrow spectrum antibiotics examples are penicillin or erythromycin, gentamicin, etc. Fine. Now what is these penicillin? Penicillin is a group of antibiotics obtained from a fungus called as Penicillium and is used for controlling the infections caused by bacteria like Staphylococci, Clostridia and Streptococci. Okay, so medicines containing penicillin are also useful to treat certain bacterial infections of the ear, nose, throat and skin, as well as the diseases like the pneumonia and the scarlet fever. So you see the penicillium has a wide use. Okay, so it is not only used for the infections of the ear, nose, throat and skin as well, but also used in the treatment of the harmful diseases like pneumonia and even scarlet fever, and it also kills the bacteria like Staphylococci. Clostridia, you might be aware about Clostridia. I've already come across this word before when we were learning about lactobacilli, correct? So it is present mostly in the as a harmful microorganism in the alimentary canal. correct, which causes the indigestion problem or abdominal discomfort. So that time lactobacilli is used, and here even penicillin is used to kill the clostridium. Fine. Now whenever you are taking antibiotics, you need to take certain precautions. Now let us see what are those precautions. Antibiotics should be taken only when it is prescribed by a doctor. Now some people have the habit, okay, that if they fall ill and the doctors have given them certain medicines, after feeling well, if somebody else has fallen ill, and same symptoms are there, they will try to tell, okay, take this medicine, this is better, I have got cured with these medicines, you also try. My dear students, it is not the way that you should, somebody is telling you to take certain medicines and you will be taking those medicines. It is very harmful, because a patient cannot become a doctor. So doctors only know what type of a disease it is. That is why antibiotics should be taken only when it is prescribed by the doctor. Then we should not purchase any antibiotics from medical stores if we do not have a prescription from the doctor. We have the habit, if suppose earlier we had a particular disease and you have that prescription by the doctor, next time whenever you find the same symptoms, similar symptoms are there, you might be taking that same prescription to the medical store and try to buy those. Okay, so you never should buy or purchase any antibiotic from medical stores if we do not have a prescription from the doctor. Fine. Third thing, we should not consume antibiotics on our own to treat common diseases like a throat infection, common cold or influenza. We have a habit sometimes, that if you have a fever, you will be first taking crocin, right? So you should not do that. You should first go to the doctor, try to find out what is the disease, and then by the doctor, when the doctor gives, you have to take the medicines. We should always complete a prescribed course of the antibiotic even if we feel well before the completion of the dose. Now what we have this habit also, that suppose if the doctor has given the medicine for around 5 or 6 days and you feel well within 3 days, then you stop taking. You say why you have to take that medicine and continue. But my dear students, why doctors give certain doses? Because they are sure that the microorganism is still living in your body. The incubation period of that microorganism is lasting for a certain period of time. That is why they prescribe a particular dose for a particular number of days. You have to complete the dose, and do not think that I am feeling well, so I will be not taking this dose ahead. Fine. So please do not do that. Next thing, we should never suggest to others the antibiotics which were useful. So people have this habit also, that they try to become doctor and try to prescribe to the others. This is very harmful. So don't suggest to others. Now let us see an introduction to scientist. Okay, Alexander Fleming. You might have heard about this. Alexander Fleming was a professor of microbiology at St. Mary's Hospital in London, and he has discovered accidentally penicillium. Okay, so Alexander Fleming, when he was doing cultured varieties of bacteria and fungi in the petri dishes in the laboratory on the 3rd September 1928, while observing Staphylococci is a bacteria. You can see the culture of the bacteria in the petri dish here. He is trying to observe that culture, and when he was observing this petri dish, he found that there were some fungal colonies had grown, but the area around those colonies were clean and clear. You could see the fungal colony here, and it is trying to prevent the growth of the bacterial culture, that is Staphylococci. Okay, Staphylococci is a harmful bacteria which causes disease. Right. So he noticed that wherever it was growing, it was clear, and the bacteria did not grow at that particular place. So it's because after further studies he found that he confirmed that the fungus which was growing over there was nothing but none other than penicillium, and its secretion had destroyed the bacterial colonies. Fine. So it was a wonderful discovery at that time. So it was actually an accidental discovery. But because of this discovery only, now so many diseases are getting cured. So shouldn't we always be grateful to Alexander Fleming for such a discovery? Yes, my dear students, you should be. Otherwise, so many diseases wouldn't have been get cured. Even common cold or certain diseases like influenza and all of them requires antibiotics. So we should be very grateful to Dr. Alexander Fleming. Now, wonderful to know, certain species of ants grow fungal in their termitarium or ant hill and obtain food from it. Do you know which is that fungus? It is nothing but your mushroom which you eat during the rainy season especially. So that is also called as a termitomyces. The name of that mushroom is also called as termitomyces. Termitomyces means on the termite hills or which are growing on the ant hills. Okay, so and which are useful for us also, that is for eating. Second one, some species of the wasps and other insects lay their eggs in the fungal bodies growing on trees, thus ensuring a food supply for their larvae. So let us now learn about an institute at work. The National Institute of Virology, which was established in 1952 in Pune, undertakes research related to diseases like measles, jaundice, fever, and diseases of the lungs with support from the World Health Organization. So now we have already studied about the different useful microorganisms like lactobacilli, rhizobium, yeast and penicillium, right? So these are all four different types of useful microorganisms we have studied. Now in the next video we are going to learn about the next topic, that is harmful microorganisms. So I hope so you have understood. Please read the lesson well and try to understand. Fine. So till we start with the next topic, bye and thank you dear students.